My sincerest hope is that these conversations are benefiting you as you journey to meet God in a fresh way. In our last conversation, we talked about God as our Heavenly Father. In this one, I want to carry on an aspect of that by talking with you about how God is with you always. Always. The Bible talks about that. It says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I am with you always. Think about it this way. Do you understand there has never been a breath that you have breathed that God has not heard? There's never been a thought that has gone through your mind that he's not aware of. Do you realize that there's never been a moment in your life, no matter what you're doing, that he has not been near? God is with you always. David in Psalm 139, that's the David of David and Goliath fame, says that no matter where he would run or try to hide, God was there and got there before he was even there. God is with you always. When we talk about this, it begs the question from all of us. Where was God when fill in the blank? All of us have had very difficult times in our lives, moments or years or decades that have been treacherous in our lives. They've been harsh, they've been hard, they've been almost unbearable. Whether that would be the death of a child, the loss of a loved one, a career that you'd so worked for and hoped for that got shattered by somebody else's choice, or a circumstance that came out of the blue unexpectedly. On and on and on we can go. I have friends who have had spouses die of cancer and who've had multiple children taken out of their lives. On and on it goes. Where is God when? The Bible teaches us that God says, I am with you always. Always. Do you understand, again, that there has never been a moment in a time where he's not been present with you? And sometimes we don't feel his presence. Sometimes we wish he could just come down and have arms and wrap them around us. But that hasn't happened to me, and yet God has shown me in various ways, I'm with you. And because his Bible says that I'm with you always and I will never leave you nor forsake you, it's something based on his character, his nature, his personality, his ways that we're learning about, that we can trust that. Matter of fact, do you understand that when you were at your worst, your most difficult place, and you ask, where was God? The answer I would give you is he was right next to you. He was there. And when you and I kind of press the pause button and we reflect back on some of our most difficult times, do we often pause to remember the provisions of God in the midst of that time? Whether it was the need for something like food and shelter, whether it was a need for a helping hand that just happened to come around at the right time, or it was the need for wisdom and counsel, for a shoulder to cry upon, whatever it may be. When we needed help, it was there. But sometimes we never kind of connect the dots and realize that was God. He was all over it. He was in the middle of it. He didn't leave you or forsake you. He was trying to show you, I'm here. I'm with you. And as you weep, I weep. And as your heart is broken, my heart is broken. And I want you to know that I'm alongside of you. When I consider some of the challenges of my life, one of the places that I find myself going to aid me in seeing that God is with me always is I look at what else could have happened, what else could have gone wrong that didn't, and recognize that God stuck his finger in the dam at the last minute to help me out. I also have to ask the question, where did he turn something that was very bad into something good? And that lets me see where he was working on my behalf. Friends, we have to understand we live in a world where there's still sin and selfishness, where there's still sickness and disease and people dying. In heaven, none of that will be there. But as long as we live on this planet, those kinds of things will be knocking on the doors of our life. And this is another reason why, as we meet God, it's a good thing, because he wants you to know, I'm with you. I will whisper into your ears wise counsel. I will be your backbone. I will be your shelter from the storm. I want you to think about, as we close this conversation, where in the past did you blame God where maybe now you can see where he was near?